Saturday on Denver 7 News.
Most of the people at this point have been either taken to the hospital or taken to our headquarters to be interviewed.
A fatal shooting inside an Aurora church has investigators still searching for answers this morning. A temporary closure put in place after backlash over COVID protocols is coming to an end. How mask mandates lifting in the metro could still put strain on the Children's Museum.
It has been difficult for many people that we know who live there, and we wanted to do our part.
And a little later, Coloradans continue to come together to support Marshall Fire victims. But this time, it might help satisfy that sweet tooth. We have a lot of news to get to this morning, but first, good morning. We hope you're having a great start to your weekend. I'm Micah Smith.
And I'm Katie LaSalle. Thank you so much for joining us here on Denver 7 News. Taking you live outside this morning. Temperatures are cold, but not as cold as what we've seen over the past couple of mornings over the metro area. Currently, we're in the high 20s, low 30s over much of the Denver area. Over the eastern plains, it is very cold this morning with wind chill values feeling below zero. We'll stay dry today, mostly sunny, and temperatures later on this afternoon will be a bit milder. So more melting will occur across the metro area into the mountains. It's a mostly clear start to the morning. The winds will kick up later on today. We could see wind gusts over higher terrain, which about 60 miles per hour at times. Breezy over the plains. Temperatures today in the 40s and some light mountain snow possible over our northern mountains late tonight into early tomorrow morning, but a very weak cold front for us. Berthoud Pass last recorded wind gusts there at 44 miles per hour. Some windier conditions up near Fort Collins and Greeley this morning. Temperatures feel like value at 2 below zero in Greeley and absolutely frigid out near Gunnison and over Aspen and Vail. So bundle up into the high country later on this afternoon, though. Here across the plains, we're expecting mid to upper 40s. More on that mountain snow coming up later on tonight in just a few.
A breaking news update this morning to a shooting that left a woman dead and 2 men injured at a Aurora church. This happened last night just after 8 o'clock at Iglesias Faro de Luz at 6th and Olaf. Aurora police say several people were inside the church when the shooting happened. Police want to stress this was not a random shooting.
We're working to positively identify the suspect. We have information on who they might be. But obviously our investigators need to make sure that we pinpoint exactly who it is before we put any other information out about it.
We also know a 4th person was taken to the hospital for medical reasons but was not shot. A suspect has not been identified, but police believe he knew the victims. Count on Denver 7 to keep you updated as we learn more about this situation.
Well, this is the first weekend in months that you won't need a mask inside many indoor spots here in Denver. The city and county let their mask requirement expire. Individual businesses can still require you to wear a face covering or ask for proof of vaccination. Ball Arena and the Denver Center for Performing Arts will be among those. Now, several other metro counties are taking the same approach, including Broomfield, Adams, and Arapahoe. Mask requirements there also expired on Friday.
And the Children's Museum of Denver is opening its doors this morning. The museum closed temporarily after some visitors yelled at staff members over their mask policy. Denver 7's Christian Lopez is live with us now to explain the next steps for the museum starting today. Christian.
Yeah, good morning. Well, since the museum's temporary closure, staff has been looking over policies and figuring out the best way to move forward. Even though the mask mandate has expired for the city and county of Denver, it is still in place for schools and for child care facilities. The museum decided it will still be requiring masks for those 3 and older. But they do offer medical exemptions, and guests can wear their masks in outdoor areas. Now, in a statement we received from the museum's president and CEO, Michael Yankovic, he said in part, quote, "We know the last 2 years have been trying for all, and like so many others, we too are fatigued by the challenges and uncertainties we have faced together. We ask that you keep this in mind and please be respectful of this policy and supportive of our staff who work hard each and every day to make the museum the best it can be for our community." Now, after the museum reopens today, it will be open weekly, Wednesday through Sunday, but you will need a reservation before heading their way. Reporting live in Denver this morning, I'm Christian Lopez, Denver 7.
Christian, thank you. And if you're in need of a KN95 mask, the Northside Atzland Community Center in Fort Collins is distributing masks today. These masks are from the state stockpile that were dropped off to libraries and fire departments. Supply is limited, though, so those hosting say they'll be handing out masks until 3 o'clock, or at least while supplies last. There's a maximum of 5 per person.
They've risked their health to vaccinate Coloradans from COVID-19, and now traveling nurses are raising the red flag again.
In December, we told you about some nurses who left Colorado because they just weren't getting their correct wages from Jogan Health Solutions.
As Denver 7's Bayan Wang has learned, that problem runs far deeper.
I was borrowing from friends and relatives just to survive and get by.
It's a pattern
They owed me over $4,000.
that became obvious to many.
Denver is beautiful, but I couldn't imagine getting up, going to work every day, and not be guaranteed to get paid.
For some healthcare workers, burnout had less to do with the pandemic
A lot of people aren't getting paid.
and more to do with payroll. Jogan Health Solutions, a medical and health consulting provider, hired hundreds of traveling nurses from all over the U.S. to help several states vaccinate their populations. Colorado was one of them, paying Jogan Health $45 million since March 2021. For some, the job was short-lived.
Multiple people have left and went home because they still haven't gotten paid. There was one guy in particular who didn't get paid for 3 months. I had all the nurses coming to me asking for my help.
Lindy Lindsay handled some of the payroll duties for the company. She's the first to admit there is a major problem with Jogan's payroll system.
They're very disorganized. We have asked them countless of times to get an electronic system going, and they just wanted to do it by hand.
And so I thought I was going to help them fix it.
In fact, that's what former Jogan payroll employee Heidi Alsasa says she recommended to the company when she was hired in January.
When I got hired, I was told they needed somebody to come in and fix payroll. Their system comes equipped with a time clock that they're just not utilizing. They can download the app onto their phone. They clock in and clock out from their phone.
But when Alsasa drew up an action plan,
Their response was, yeah, no, thanks, but no thanks.
Alsasa says she knew what was coming and quit just 7 days after being hired.
We had over 100 emails of people who didn't get paid appropriately.
Some emails sent to Jogan management obtained by Denver 7 News, employees inquiring about why they weren't paid, and if they were, why the payment was wrong, and why it was late, in some cases by more than a month.
And I begged for the money that I did get.
According to several employee contracts, the company said it would pay for living expenses, including food, lodging, and gas.
They started trying to take away things that they promised us in our contract.
Talia Mayer was a former project manager for the company. She oversaw all employees in Jefferson County.
I had some nurses who were putting their personal credit card information on file at these hotels, which would become in debt because Jogan's credit cards were declining or they were refusing to pay.
In an email sent by Jogan founder and president Dan Dietrich to a concerned employee in November, Dietrich admitted paying for employee expenses would be an issue. Dietrich told the employee, "As time goes on, our contract terms with our state customers change. Currently, there's no mileage reimbursement from the state unless the clinic-related trip exceeds 50 miles. There's currently no hotel reimbursement and no per diem reimbursement. I'm paying these personally with no way to bill or recoup this."
Payroll and expenses was our biggest headache. It seems that Jogan couldn't get it right.
My food expenses, my airplane flight, and then also the gas that I put in the company in their card.
Denver 7 first exposed the payroll issues back in December. Since then, multiple nurses and various employees have come forward with their stories of wrong, late, or no payments at all.
They haven't paid me the wages that I'm owed from last year.
Adding insult to injury, Dietrich would put the blame on the nurses, saying in part, quote, 99% of the time it's because they didn't complete their stuff in the HR system. People don't turn their timesheets in, and they don't turn them in correctly, and they don't turn them in on time.
That's baloney.
But employees who had payroll duties say otherwise.
Everything was done correctly before I put them in a folder and sent them off.
And the State Department of Labor and Employment also turns responsibility back on companies like Jogan.
Workers have to be paid on regular pay periods, and they have to be paid no later than 10 days after the close of the pay period under Section 103 of the Wage Act.
Whether it's employee banking or personal information that isn't submitted or timesheets allegedly not being turned in, companies still have the obligation of paying what is due.
If there's an employer that's systematically not paying pay for much longer than 10 days after pay periods close for a large number of employees over time, that doesn't seem like it would be a idiosyncratic glitch in a system or one employee's information being mishandled.
The department confirmed receiving a tip regarding wage issues at Jogan Health Solutions, but when a formal complaint isn't submitted, their investigations are prioritized for industries with vulnerable employees.
Whether that's low wage or lower education or lower linguistic ability, it's impossible to investigate everything.
Denver 7 reached out to Dietrich, who agreed to an interview, then stopped taking our calls. Instead, he issued this statement saying in part, "We are aware that there have been some recent payroll challenges for employees at our vaccination sites. We are looking into how exactly these mistakes were made while ensuring that all employees have been paid for hours worked and expenses accrued." It's an acknowledgement that came too late for Mayor.
But I left for moral and ethical reasons.
Lindsay would follow suit in December.
I was tired of feeling like I was put in the position to be a bad guy. I couldn't face the nurses with a good heart, knowing everything that I knew.
The issues don't just stop there for Jogan Health. A $2 million lawsuit has been filed against Jogan Health out of Douglas County. A company named Safety Management Systems LLC is alleging that Jogan breached their contract by hiring away some of their employees. In studio, Bayan Wang, Denver 7.
Thank you for your reporting, Bayan. Well, as cold temperatures stick around this winter, there's someone you need to keep in mind. Your pets. How to prevent hypothermia in your pups is on the way.
And if you're looking for a way to help those who lost everything in the Marshall Fire, one ice cream parlor is making it nice and easy.